they loosely make 4 quadrants. We gotta imagine the extension of this line, right?
Okay.
But there's 4 quadrants. And I want you to think about a table to some extent. Now humans have 4 limbs, okay? Really, in grappling, they also use their head for balance. So sometimes people balance on their head. So we could say 5, but let's just say 4 right now, okay? Let's also look at this, okay? Because to start, when you're thinking of sweeping someone, you're really like later, a level up from here. You're going to be making even more kind of careful directional considerations, but almost like I want you to think about having a sweep or having the ability to generate force that you could put someone into quadrant A, quadrant B, quadrant C, or quadrant D. We could call it also 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? So it's like, there's a table, right? And you could pull force towards 2. You could pull force towards 1. You could pull force towards 4, 3, right? You're following me?
Yes.
Okay, so now 4 limbs of the table, all right? Generally speaking, like in class, what am I gonna call them? The common term is posts, okay? Posts, because it's like a fence post. It keeps you up. It's like a beam, like a structural beam, right? It's just catching balance. People catch balance by putting a limb there. So let's say that you're gonna sweep me and you have a flower sweep that throws my body up towards quadrant 2, okay? If you flower sweep me, but you leave this hand, right? The sweep never happens because I post.
Right.
Okay? So every sweep is early on in the game, where as it's happening, it's controlling posts. You can't really sweep without controlling posts. Okay? Because if you throw me into quadrant 2 and I got my hand, I'm gonna post. If you control that post, I'm gonna fall. Right? I'm the table. If you take it away, now you pull the table over, the table falls, okay? Now, that alone is a good lesson. Just understanding that where I want to throw the person, I have to take away their posts. Now, let's talk about what happens, okay? Because humans are crazy dynamic, right? So the obvious post for quadrant 2 is my right hand, right? But you take that away. So now you're collapsing the 3-legged table, right? Humans are gonna do this crazy dynamic cross post or weird, like I have a leg, but my leg can move. So as you start to throw me into quadrant 2, I'm gonna do that. And I need to put a new post into quadrant 2. You see that? But if you look at the table analogy, right? You see that now quadrant 4 is open. So there's always this, so this is actually a lesson about how sweeps work. We could, like sometimes I call it an A-B. It's like sweep A, sweep B, right? But the reality is that when you hit one sweep, if they block it through really dynamic posting, there is always a moment in time before they readjust where there is an opportunity, if you can generate in the direction, to throw them into another quadrant. So the reason that the whole reason I give the table analogy, right, is not just like, oh, that's a cool thing that you can learn, right? I think it's actually practical to map the body that way, because you start to realize that when you throw people, you take away a post. If you don't do that, you're not even doing shit.
So you have to take away some posts.
You have to. So you take away a post and you create some force. If you can't do that, there's no sweep even to begin with. But once you get a sweep, right, and you're doing that, now they're still gonna hit some crazy post. You dump them into option B, into combo B. Or let's go back to the first one, like quadrant 2, right? Let's say I don't go up with my leg, right? But now I cross post, which is usually a term for when people reach across their body. It's really shitty. Like it just saves you for like a second, right? It's like you're like throwing me. Oh no, I can't put this arm out. I put this arm out. Now the real quadrant is in 1, right? So you can't always account for how they're going to do this crazy fucking objective that they're going to do. But if you're just mapping, oh, they're a table, oh, they only have 4 limbs, you're just going to see that they take limbs out of a quadrant, and you're gonna like have a simple methodology to start, to just know to dump them into the other quadrant.
Okay.
And then once you get good at this, actually, okay, because right away you can take this, you're actually gonna see this really happen if you're paying attention in your roles.
Yeah.
Once you kind of get good at this very simplistic thing, without my coaching thing, just by the sensitivity, what you're gonna feel is you're gonna start to feel how people are creating bases and exactly the more precise directions that you need to sit them down.
Okay.
And I, of course, can give you feedback on the exact angles and sometimes transitions, because sometimes you need you basically need two moves that kind of go A, B, A, B, A, B to be able to do different directions. Okay. So like I sweep one way and he catches, and then I scissor him and kick him the other way.
Right.
But if I don't have that, I did a tripod. If I don't have that tripod transition, like I can do a hook sweep, and he catches out there,
yeah.
So I just switch and tripod him and dump him back.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does. So you're never like looking to muscle through a sweep, right? Like
right.
you post, you're doing the sweep. You're saying you're looking to transition to the point where he's most weak or most vulnerable. You're not looking just to muscle through it, right?
So that's like a very important lesson on sweeps,
Okay.
right? We're gonna see that over and over. That's how sweeps work.
Okay.
The other point, like the thought, and then we're all gonna do application, and then we're gonna do sparring, right?
Okay.
But the other point about how sweeps work is that it could happen all at the same time. But here, Ray, let me just borrow you for like a simple hook sweep. Okay, you always, if you want to clip it, or you can.
Clip it.